Ready to get them started, y'all. All right. Hey, what's up, Ron? Good morning, my children of the sun. Welcome to the Open Eye on WHGE 95.3 FM, the Advocacy Education Station. I'm your host, Patrice Gibbs, your third eye optometrist. Ready to get them started. Yes, sir. Ready to get them started. All right, here we go. I'm going to start today with an experience I had earlier this week. I went to job fair at the Chase Center down on the riverfront. And I went there because I'm a job developer for DCHV for their HVRP program. That's Homeless Veterans Reintegration Program. Okay. So I was there to make connections with employers and hopefully run into some veterans that may need my help advocating for employment. Excuse me. One of the vendors there was a radio station, well-known radio station that I had once been affiliated with, a regular caller, and was a guest host on the station. Now, what happened to that station, they used to have some semblance of balance, shall we say. Some semblance. Because all of their talk show hosts, talk radio, all of their regular talk show hosts were all white men. Now, the thing was, in the morning they had a left-leaning host. As a matter of fact, he would be considered by right-wingers probably far left. I mean, this is a white dude whose favorite rap album was Public Enemy's Fear of a Black Planet. So that tells you something about it. Okay. Well, that station was taken over by a right-wing group, right-wing investor, and this, that, and the other. And they got rid of the left-leaning host that had I think the most popular show in the morning in the city. He's on from 9 to 12. At any rate, when I approached these gentlemen, I told them that, I had been guest host on their station. One of them dudes looked at me and said, "You must got the wrong station." Now, what do he mean by that? I'll tell you what he mean by that. As in his mind, there's no black people on the station and never would be. And that was his stance. That's why he said, "Oh, you must got the wrong station, not us. Your black ass ain't guest host on our station." And then the other dude whispered to him and probably told him who I was. And, those in the business, they know other people in the business and what they're doing and keep an eye on them and what have you. And I'm pretty sure that he told him that maybe, I was the host of the Open Eye and what have you, and that I had been on their station. And he turned to me after this guy, other white guy, whispered to him and said, well, there's a chance you might have been on the station. Yeah, there's a damn good chance that I was, you racist bastard. All right. Let's get it started here. Let's move on. You know, that's it. Well, I'm gonna start here with some history. All right. Now, many of you, I'm sure, have heard of the Tuskegee Institute. Mm-hmm. Tuskegee University it is now. 180 years old. Now it is, Booker T. Washington is credited with founding Tuskegee. Actually, it was Lewis Adams, a former slave and the founder of the school today known as Tuskegee. He was born in Macon County, Alabama, former slave, like I said. Despite having no formal education, Adams could read, write, and speak several languages. He was an experienced tinsmith, harness maker, and shoemaker. He was married to Sarah Adams, with whom he had 16 children. Jeez Louise. He was an acknowledged leader of the county's black community. Damn, his family was the black community, 16 children. In 1880, Adams was approached on behalf of two white candidates seeking election to the Alabama Senate. He was asked what it would take to get the votes of the community's black citizens. Rather than requesting and or accepting personal gifts, big ups, which was a common practice, he made a deal with the Democratic Party, which was the party of bigotry at that time. They switched over to the Republicans in later years, in Montgomery, promising to secure the black vote if funding would be provided for a normal school for African Americans at Tuskegee. He and a banker, George W. Campbell, another former slave owner? Okay, yeah. George W. Campbell, he's a white dude, former slave owner, skillfully convinced the Alabama legislature to begin funding of $2,000 annually for a Negro normal school in Tuskegee, starting in 1881. Adams then recruited and hired another former slave, Booker T. Washington, upon recommendation of General Samuel C. Armstrong. And that's how Booker T. Washington got involved. The founder and principal of the Normal School for Blacks in Hampton. That's Booker T. Washington. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I give up some history lessons here. Now, there are parts of our history that are very dark. You know, that were very harrowing. Have you ever heard of Mary Turner? I'm sure some of you have, especially if you're open eye listener. Good morning, Tracy and Sherry. I see you, sisters. Oh, shoot. Hey. All right. Got a message from a friend of mine, Stephen Leach, who is the host of Bop Time on WVUD, University of Delaware's radio station, where you can still hear Uncle Richard. All right. Mary Turner. In May of 1918, Mary Turner, a black woman who was 8 months pregnant, was lynched by a white mob from Brooks County, Georgia, at Folsom's Bridge, 16 miles north of Valdosta, for speaking publicly against the lynching of her husband the day before. Mary Turner's husband, Hayes Turner, had been lynched the day before. Hayes Turner was accused of being an accomplice in the killing of a notorious white farmer, Hampton Smith, who was well known for his abuse of black farm workers. Hampton Smith would bail black people accused of petty crimes out of jail and then require them to work off the fine on his farm. This is another form of slavery. Sidney Johnson, a black man working to pay a legal fee for rolling dice, confessed to killing Mr. Smith. He confessed to it during a quarrel about being overworked. Police officers killed Mr. Johnson in the shootout. When news reached the white community, Mr. Turner and other black farm workers who had previously been abused by Mr. Smith were targeted and accused of conspiracy. Many black people during this time were lynched based on mere accusations of murder against white people. The same was true here, as at least 7 confirmed black individuals were lynched by the white mob in response to Hampton Smith's death, inflicting community-wide racial terror. Mrs. Turner was grieving and spoke out against her husband's death, promising to take legal action. How dare her? Enraged by this, the white mob made an example of Mrs. Turner, despite having no reason to fear actual legal repercussions from her, as black people at the time were not afforded judicial process. The white mob lynched Mary Turner and her unborn child to maintain white supremacy, silence her, and communicate to the black community that no dissent from the racial order would be tolerated. No member of the mob was ever held accountable for the lynching of Mary Turner. You know, let me tell you what they did to her. This white mob bound her feet, hanged her from a tree with her head facing down, threw gasoline on her, and burned the clothes off her body. Mrs. Turner was still alive when the mob took a large butcher knife to her abdomen. One of the white men, cut her abdomen open. She was pregnant, cutting the unborn baby from her body. When the baby fell from Mary Turner, a member of the mob crushed the crying baby's head with the heel of his boot. The mob then riddled Mrs. Turner's body with hundreds of bullets to make sure that they killed her. But not before they did what they did to her unborn child. The grotesque slaughter of a black woman 8 months pregnant reveals a great deal about the way in which black women were dehumanized with immunity. There have been documented 594 racial terror lynches between 1877 and 1950 in the state of Georgia alone. Just one state. Brooks County in Georgia had the 3rd highest number of documented racial terror lynchings. As bad as you think Jim Crow was, it was a lot worse. Because believe me, this white man or these white people that cut her baby out of her stomach and stomped his head, what kind of people are these? And crushed the baby's head with the heel of his boot. It was not the first time they did that. It was not the first time it happened. No, this was not the KKK. This lynch mob. These were everyday citizens in that town, everyday white citizens in that town. And it was a normal practice for them to terrorize black people. Normal practice. All right. Oh, I'm not done with that era. How many of you have heard of George Stinney Jr.? George Stinney Jr. He was the youngest person in America to be executed. He's 14 years old. South Carolina. He's barely 5 feet tall and didn't even weigh 100 pounds yet. George Stinney Jr. sat so small in the electric chair that the straps were too big to contain him. The 14-year-old had to sit on books for his head to reach the headpiece. You know, the headpiece that they put down on top of your head that starts the electric currents going through your body. And when the switch was flipped, the convulsions knocked down the large mass, exposing his tearful face to the crowd. This is 1944. Now, 70 years after his execution by electric chair, George was exonerated of the crime that ended his brief life. Now, he was accused of killing 2 white girls with a railroad tie, something he couldn't even lift. Now, in order for him to beat one of these girls to death with this railroad tie, the other one would have to stand there and wait for him to finish killing the person. Yeah. 2-hour trial. Took the jury 10 minutes to come back with a verdict of guilty. Okay. Now, South Carolina, lawmakers in South Carolina have passed a bill to bring back this gruesome method of execution. A provision in the new bill would allow death row inmates to choose execution by firing squad. These people are gruesome and evil, man. The state has not executed anyone in a decade because of the shortage of lethal injection drugs. Excuse me. The current law allows death row inmates to choose between lethal injection and electrocution. Since there are no drugs, the inmates choose lethal injection. Okay. The bill is expected to pass routine procedural votes before it's handed to Governor Henry McMaster's death. McMaster, a Republican, has expressed his support for the measure. No kidding. No kidding. Just, wow. Just crazy. Just crazy. It's unbelievable. And you know that more than half of the inmates on death row are black. Big surprise, huh? More than half of them are black. WHGE 95.3 FM. I'm Patrice Gibbs, right here on The Open Eye. The Open Eye is brought to you by the Delaware Center for Homeless Vets, changing veterans' lives all over Delaware. Those of the host, guests, and contributors do not reflect the policy or position of WHGE 95.3 FM nor our sponsor, the Delaware Center for Homeless Vets. Any content provided by Open House. All right, James, I see you. Good morning, Sister Tracy. Good morning, Queen. Thank you. Sherry. WHGE 95.3 FM. Now, some people, especially those that hate to hear about our history, would ask, why do you bring this stuff up? Why do you bring this stuff up? Why do I bring this stuff up? Because it's still going on. You know, it's been years since a 14-year-old was electrocuted. Not since 1944, youngest person electrocuted in America. Young black child, a child, falsely accused. Okay? But we're still dealing with these race soldiers, which the mainstream society knows as police. All right? But we still got crap like this going on. A black man was stopped by police after a white woman allegedly said he was staring suspiciously at her. I bet you this Karen knows our history. And she knows that offensive looking during the dark days of segregation was enough to get a black man killed. You're looking lustfully or suspiciously at a white woman? String your ass up. This is Royal Oak, Michigan. A Royal Oak police internal investigation is underway at a controversial incident that was recorded live on Facebook. The department confirmed the investigation to 7 Action News while declining an interview request. The person behind the cell phone claims a black man was questioned by police for looking suspiciously at a white woman as he crossed the street. What kind of crap is that? The witness recording said, "I am a Royal Oak, Michigan citizen. I was going to CVS over here. And then this young man was stopped because a Caucasian lady said he looked at her suspiciously, and he has been pulled over, walking to go eat by 2 policemen for suspicion of being black." The woman who shot the video and narrates it claims the white woman called police while watching the man from her car, which was across the street. A black man who identifies himself to officers as a 20-year-old is shown being questioned by the Royal Oak police. The man who says he was walking in the In Seasons Cafe at 4th and Knowles in Royal Oak even apologized to officers for the inconvenience. I wouldn't apologize for a damn thing. I'd have cussed everybody out and probably went to jail. By the way, I'm sorry for wasting you guys' time. You didn't waste their time. That ignorant ass hussy wasted their time calling the police because she claimed you looked suspiciously at her. And she's sitting there watching you, probably lusting for you. By the way, I'm sorry for wasting you guys' time, the man in the video said. But the man also said they need to make a warning sign for Royal Oak. Don't stare too long. He didn't finish that sentence. He should have said, don't stare too long at white women, because they'll lock your ass up or at least question you. The narrator follows saying, no, don't be black and stare. The narrator also suggests the man was walking across the street to meet his girlfriend in the restaurant when the police were called on him. 4 minutes into the video, more officers arrived with a supervisor. The man was eventually allowed to go. More officers arrived with a supervisor. The restaurant's general manager witnessed the questioning can be heard telling the officer in the video, if that were me walking across the street and walking in, this would not be happening because I was looking at her. The restaurant paid for the man's meal inside, according to an employee at the restaurant. Royal Oak Police declined Action News request for an interview. No kidding. Jeez Louise. And you wonder why we got to talk about this? And as anyone that's been paying attention is well aware, that is one of the minor situations. This was not the most egregious. Let me give you an egregious situation. Okay? This happened December 22nd of last year, right before Christmas. A New York State trooper stopped a car for speeding near Kingston, about an hour and a half north of Manhattan. Inside were Tristan Good, his wife April, and his daughters Monica, 11, and Tristina, 12. They were heading north on the New York State Thruway, on their way to visit family for Christmas. In the exchange that followed, Mr. Goods and the trooper, Christopher Baldner, began to argue, and Mr. Goods, his lawyer said, asked to speak with a supervisor. Trooper Baldner responded by shooting pepper spray in the car. Get pulled over for speeding, which was probably BS. Really got pulled over for being black. And pepper spray with your children in the car. Fearing for his safety, Mr. Goods drove off. He's got kids in the car. Baldner chased him at a high speed. When he caught up to Mr. Goods, he rammed his car once and then seconds later rammed it again. The impact knocked Mr. Goods' car over a guardrail into the highway's southbound lanes. The vehicle flipped over several times before it landed on its roof. Tossed from the car as it tumbled, Monica Goods, 11 years old, and she died. For a damn traffic stop for speeding. Now, I ain't finished. I ain't finished with this. WHGE 95.3 FM, The Open Eye. Joining me in the studio, my partner in consciousness, Nsoromma. Good morning, brother.
Good morning, world. What's good?
Oh, this, that, and the other. I'm getting into it.
I hear you.
Yeah. Well, you know, this Trooper Baldner, 43 years old, hasn't gotten away with this as of yet. He was charged with murder, manslaughter, and reckless endangerment in an indictment announced by Letitia James, New York's Attorney General. Police officers are entrusted to protect and serve. Sure.
I mean, did you ever hear about the other life that the officers have before becoming police officers? And like, if you go to their Facebook pages and stuff, you'll see how racist they are and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see the real them behind the life they live, and a lot of police departments aren't screening these police officers that's coming into their department. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're screening us as black people to apply for some food stamps.
Like
that. They go to the extreme to find out everything about us, but yet they hire these racist, killers and terrorists and put them behind badges and expect us to respect them in their racist antics. You know what I'm saying? That's not happening. America is standing up, and not only black is doing it, but it's leaking into the other colors now, and now it's becoming a problem when it's always been a problem for us. You know what I'm saying? So now that it's a problem for you, you want to put more focus on it, stop funding them and all of this other stuff. I'm like, yo.
And to support what you said, this was not the first incident that Trooper Baldner was involved in.
I mean, that's what they need to do. They need to open up an investigation on his life and how he been treating people before he got that badge. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
and
sir.
You'll see that he was a criminal. You know what I'm saying? Or a terrorist. And that's the way it goes. Right. And that seemed like to me that's the government criteria they look for. If you're a racist, and if you black, you'll sell your fellow man out, you'll kill your mom, you'll turn your mom into the police. We want you guys. You are the one. Uncle Sam wants you. Is his name still Uncle Sam? What they call him? Uncle Trump? Nah, but that's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that is. You know? And like Nsoromma said, they hire these people without checking their background. This is why we need a national police database that lists all the crap that they did on their job when they were policemen to begin with.
Just like they can punch our name in, it should be somewhere where we as a citizen can go punch their name in on the computer and find out exactly what type of character they are and how many people they arrested and their record and history of their job performance that they perform for us through the taxpayer.
Mm-hmm.
We
Right.
pay for them.
Mm-hmm.
So we wanna know exactly what they doing, just like they wanna know what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, indeed, brother. Yes, indeed. And you are absolutely right. You know, just like Nsoromma said, it's something
What's up?
that, this call for police reform, which didn't happen,
Right.
okay, of course, is primarily supported and needed by black people. Now, the Asian hate crime bill, that went right on through. All right? There's another bill.
They giving the families $450,000 or something. Did you hear about that?
It's this other bill. About when the Mexican immigrants, illegal immigrants, were coming in,
Right.
and they got separated from their families,
And locked up by Trump. And
locked up by Trump, and they gonna give them some money.
And it was $450,000 a person. You
Is it
understand?
that high? That
Yes.
might be a little high there, bro.
No, dog. It's $450,000 a person.
That's
And
the
each
shit.
family get at least $1 million. Ain't that crazy?
Jeez Louise.
So and they didn't give no. Yo,
You know what?
do we fall under that? That's what I'm saying.
Well, let me say
can we
this.
go apply for that loan like they go apply for our stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Can we put ourselves in their situation and go apply for that? Because they did that to us.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't say how far to go back. You
Right.
know what I'm saying?
Right.
It said this is now the law. This is passed. Now we can do this for what has been done.
Right.
Now,
We can't even get an apology, brother. Look, who is America's most
but
loyal
they don't
citizen?
look at it as being wrong. They don't look at hanging and killing and body separation. You know what I'm
Mutilated.
saying? Mutilated.
Mhm.
I mean, these are gruesome crimes that these
doggone
people
right.
had committed. So they ain't gonna go, yeah, I chopped her head off and grind it up in a grinder and made a beef sandwich out of it. You know what I'm saying? They ain't
Yeah.
gonna say that, but
Yeah.
because they don't
Now-
wanna seem so vicious.
Like I said, who is America's most loyal citizens? Who has fought in every war America had?
We was forced to fight too.
Yeah.
I mean,
Christmas Adams
Ali the only one that really stood up.
Yeah.
Ali, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And big ups to Ali. We need to have a lot more Alis in this world.
Yes, indeed.
And he was the one to go, okay, I'm going to put my foot down. If I got to do that, I'll do that then. Boom.
Right.
I ain't got
But
no
back to
problem
what I
with that.
said. America's most loyal citizens.
Wow.
Okay?
It's always been us, right?
It's always been us. Fought in every war.
Wow.
Volunteered in most of them.
Because sometimes it be for the benefit of what's best for the planet. Because we think about the planet too.
Right. Right.
You know, we
Yeah.
very connected to the people,
Mhm.
to the planet. Sometimes it don't even be about helping this guy. It be about helping my family. You know what I'm saying?
But at any rate,
Right.
I maintain black people is America's most loyal citizen. Look,
When it's yours, ain't you supposed to fight for it?
I understand
It's
that.
from the beginning. They say, okay,
Yeah.
from the beginning it was
Yeah.
the black guy that was doing whatever.
Mhm.
Okay, all this stuff happening.
Mhm.
You're going to have to fight for what's happening anyway if it's yours.
And that's all well and good. But,
Okay.
check it out now.
Right.
All right? It was not Nigerians or Ghanaians or people from Shanghai that flew over Hawaii and bombed Pearl Harbor. That was Japanese people.
Right.
And when the war was over, Japanese people got $20,000. They attacked America. Got $20,000 apiece. Yeah, I know about the internment camps and all this, and this was wrong, and I understand all that. Okay?
What was the main thing that they did that made them give up that money?
They abducted Japanese Americans and put them in internment camps until the war was over. Okay? But that was 4 years the war was? Okay? Black people have never flown over America and attacked a damn thing. All right?
And
And we can't even get an apology.
And that's why we ain't got no money.
Maybe that's what we
You
need to
understand?
do.
we need to stand up and fight for what is right. Period. You're not going to let nobody just keep smacking you in your face without responding. And they've been doing it for 400 years.
That they have.
You know, so, I mean, it's about standing up, learning these laws. And it may take one person to really change the law. You know what I'm saying? But you got to die to change it? No, you shouldn't have to die to change it. But it seems like our people has to have the whole world feel, oh, God, I can't believe he did that to that one guy. Yeah. And it's been done to thousands of us. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Over 400 years.
And that's wrong in itself. You just feel like this one guy, and it's happening to thousands of people. That's... I mean, the mentality of the American people that is so blinded that they feel more pain for a squirrel getting hit by a car than a human that want a sandwich.
How about that?
And you know, and less fortunate than you. You got
and you
$1
know
billion or you got $1 million, and I mean, it's just sad. Man.
And I'm gonna address what you just said too.
It's
and that's where I'm gonna address that. But like I said, maybe what we need to do is fly over America and drop some goddamn bombs.
Boop, boop,
WHGE 95.3 FL. Go over live. What's up, brother?
Oh, Lord, he done took his hat off, yo. Hey, yo. Cedric, you hear me? Yo, Steve, Tracy, what's good? Jay, hey, yo, Dave, what's happening? Yo, me say, Chuck, yo, what's good, Charles? I see you, yo. Thanks for tuning in. WHGE Radio, the Open Eye Radio Show. I'm your boy, Nsoromma, Mr. Gibbs in the bird.
Hey.
Yeah, yo.
Going in.
He be going in. Yo, do y'all be hearing him? This is live broadcast.
Live radio.
Yo,
no joke, is it?
Yo, call in so y'all can talk to us and can communicate with us. You know what I'm saying?
Don't be scared.
We ain't doing nothing but making some noise.
That's all.
You know, making them think about what's out there. You know what I'm saying? That's it. So join in, you know what I mean? Don't be scared, like you said.
Don't be scared, ain't nothing to fear.
Yeah, that's right.
Ain't nothing going on but education here.
Hey, yo, that boy go in on her. I be late with the blue boo button. I be late with the boo button. He done had everything out. Going to commercial, my boo going.
Yes, indeed, brother.
Miss Hughes was good.
Miss Hughes in the house. How you doing, Miss Hughes?
She always tuned in, man.
I appreciate you, Miss Hughes.
Radio too.
I heard that. I appreciate you, Miss Hughes. I sure do. You get this commercial over. We're gonna get back into it. Yeah, buddy. And nothing but some education, like I said. Some things we need to know. Some things we need to deal with. Get your heart up. WHGE 95.3 FM with Nsoromma.
Yeah.
And Patrice good.
You dig?
Yeah. And Nsoromma was talking about how we don't step up.
How what? Say it again.
How we don't step up.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and I understand,
we warriors, man.
Yeah.
And it's a bunch, America has made us a bunch of marshmallows.
You know? And I tell you something, if y'all had dismantled the KKK the same way you constantly try to dismantle Black Lives Matter, we wouldn't have a need for Black Lives Matter.
You ain't. You hear that? You ain't gonna disassemble yourself.
No. The thing about Black Lives Matter is a plea. Okay? Understand what this means.
Right.
We're asking those to whom we have never mattered to recognize our humanity. They will never, ever do so. Stop asking and pleading until we as a people recognize our own humanity and extract consequences for those who don't. There's nothing that's going to change. Nothing will change until we reach the height of our discontent. When the hell will enough be enough? And this is going to continue until black people draw a line in the sand. Platitudes and protests and marches and prayers and taking the knee and holding hands, it don't work. You know, yeah, some of the protests brought about some BS changes, some places, you know.
Right.
You know, but like I said, it's not working, y'all. Look, see, here's the thing. The African American militant, and this was from brother Robert F. Williams in the 60s. He talked about Negroes with guns. The Afro American militant is a militant because he defends himself, his family, his home, and his dignity. See, we got complacent here in later years. So people got a couple of good jobs, and this, that, and the other, didn't want to rock the boat. I'm all about rocking the boat. I turned you in that goddamn boat over. Boop, boop.
I'm late, you know what I'm saying? He always sneak me too. Hey, you know, listen.
You know, the black man does not introduce violence into a racist social system. We didn't introduce that into the system. The violence was already there, and it's been there. It's precisely this unchallenged violence that allows a racist social system to perpetrate itself. When people say that they are opposed to Negroes resorting to violence, what they really mean is that they are opposed to black people defending themselves and challenging the exclusive monopoly of violence that's practiced by white racists. And from Robert F. Williams.
Yo, you know what's deep, man, to me? And think about this, look. Okay. Every nationality has been what they have been from the beginning. Latinos has always been Latinos. Mm-hmm. I mean, they never changed. And then it was white was always white. But when it came to the Negro, it was always a Negro. Then it was the African American. Then it was the...
Oh, don't forget we was colored.
Colored. And then it was... See, all of these names came about. How? Because as the years changed, they changed their product. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so they look at all these other nationalities as a nationality as human beings, when they look at the black nationality as a product. And I've basically come to that conclusion. I ain't the professor or whatever, but I see that as a paper trail for their product. Because we are the only people that they changed that, and they put it in paper. They put it down on paper through the years that this is who they are. How can you explain that? Can you explain the theory of that?
Yeah, I can. You know, see, here's the thing. This is what we got to understand. All right, we've been N-words. We can't say it on the air. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you can say Nigeria,
ninja. Yeah. Okay,
gotcha.
Okay, you know what I mean. We've been colored. We've been Negro. We've been Afro-American,
right,
and this, that, and the other. All right, and let me tell you, 90% of the time, those that oppress us are the ones who naming us.
They were years throughout the years of the government and their attack on us.
Oh yeah,
that's what we were mostly aimed at. That we were the target.
We were the target.
Still are.
You know? Because like I said last week, see, on the street, okay, we're not worth nothing. Okay, remember, slavery did not end; it evolved. Which is why so many black people get locked up. And they started locking up black people immediately after Reconstruction, after the Civil War. Okay, because in the 13th Amendment they said slavery is abolished except if you're duly convicted of a crime and sent to prison. You're sent to prison, you're a slave. Because corporations come in and they use slave labor. And if you're in one of those private-owned prisons, know that you are on a private-owned plantation. Let me tell you something. Harriet Tubman said that I had reasoned this out in my mind. There was one or two things, GRB, I had a right to. Liberty or death.
Right.
If I could not have one, I would have the other. She got her liberty because she took it.
Of course. That's the way it go down. And that's what they respond to.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. I mean, you can't talk to a person that's been doing you dirty.
Right. Right. You know, now James Baldwin broke it down for us in later years, in the late 60s. He said, if any white man in the world says, give me liberty or give me death,
Shoot.
No, the entire world applauds. When a black man says exactly the same thing, word for word, he is judged a criminal and treated like one, and everything possible is done to make an example of this bad ninja, so there won't be no more like him. See, and that's a big part of our problem right there. We have seen what has happened to people before that stood up and said, well, you know, is there any racism in America? If it is, I ain't seen it.
And
that's that damn fear.
And that's why they scared of warriors. Warriors feed off fear. You know
Damn
what I'm
right.
saying? Fear is like food to
the warriors.
Yo, for real, to me, when I get scared, I turn into all kinds of, I get super fast. It's like, but understand, they don't want that warrior to not have fear. They only want you to be a warrior right now until it's time, like something happened big in America and they know that black people ain't had nothing to do with it, and it was like the 9/11 situation. They was saying, help us black people, please. You know what I'm saying? Now it's, you know, they back to their old shenanigans.
That's what they are. That's what they are. And like Nsoromma said, you know, the last thing they want are warriors. That's why there are things like the 94
But they're going to
crime.
need warriors, though, of all races, and that's what's getting ready to happen. That's what I'm saying. That's what's getting ready to happen.
Well, you know what? Of course, these right-wing terrorists, the ones that, you know, are in the Trump cult,
Right.
that attacked the Capitol
Right.
on January 6th, the insurrectionists, and you call them terrorists, all right? They still calling for a civil war. All right, they are still calling for a civil war, and that they're going to take down the American government. Let me tell you something. First of all, like I've always said, I've said it 1,000 times, all right, the U.S. military has guns that can shoot in the dark and around the corner. You really ain't got a chance. But if by chance you were to take down the government, do you think the world is going to stand by and watch you fools take control of America's nuclear weapons? No. What's going to happen is you're going to have UN peacekeepers come into America and shut this thing down. You're going to have Canada on the north.
It's called the New World Order come in effect. And then, you know, that's where all the UN come in at.
Yeah.
For this New World Order, for what America is trying to do to its citizens and make it a colonist country. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah,
You know, and you know, I tell you what we need to understand, I saw an African brother. Okay? And this is one of the reasons that, you know, as much as I admire what Tariq Nasheed did with his Hidden Color series and Buck Breaking and all,
right?
You know, one place where I part company with him is that he doesn't see the need for African Americans to join with Africans. You know, I seen a brother, you know, complain that, you know, well, why should we? Because we've been here 400 years and I ain't seen a ninja on a boat with a spear or nothing to come get us yet. Okay? And you got to remember what was going on in Africa, and you got to know how the Africans view us. They actually look to us to get this thing started, to bring down this white supremacy.
Listen, man, we got to be smart. We have to fight fire with fire as a people. You know, it's not a whole people, 1,000 of us get out in the street and go marching. No, it's 1,000 of us put it in their core system and back their core system up. And it's about putting them to work. It's about making all the people that's responsible for what's going on be held liable for their act and what it was that they played, or their position they played, and what it was they did to that particular individual. And if they find a record of it, of them all putting these people into the pot like they're doing, that's when the punishment come in. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
so
indeed.
we as individuals have to, okay, if it takes you for you to be a civil suit for this situation, and it take 300,000 of us to put this in, let's just start putting in work individually. That's where the change come in at.
That's where the change
and
come in.
Once this court system and this system get so overwhelmed with the responses that is written that has to be responded to, they have to respond to every person that writes in, and because that's what they did, that's what it's about. So we have to understand how powerful our pen is. Our pen is our sword.
Yes,
we don't
indeed.
need a gun. We need a pen, and we need knowledge, and we need direction. So that's what the key of this whole thing is. We have to become one through that way.
Right.
We,
yes, indeed.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Becoming one on the street, they can taser us and clunk us in the head and all kind of stuff. But if you send this letter in through to their mailing address, and yo, we gotta fight smart, man.
And that's it exactly. We gotta fight smart, learn the
Right.
art of war. It's like I said before, you can be lucky every day.
Right.
You know, I mean, you can't be lucky every day. You
Oh,
can't
right.
always get lucky.
Right.
But you can be smart every day.
Right.
And that's where WHGE 95.3 FM.
Yeah.
Nsoromma in the house. True that.
Yo, what's good? GRB, yo. I see y'all still there with us. We just talking, you know what I'm saying? But we gotta come together as the one. You make me, make her, like, you know, like that, and then we become a we, for real, in this system.
Damn right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. My city, Nsoromma in the house.
True that. That's what's up.
WHGE 95.3 FM.
Gibbs in the building.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Look, Joe Biden includes marijuana decriminalization in his new plan for Black America. Watch out when they get a new plan for Black America.
I mean, they ain't did the right thing for Black America yet anyway, giving us stuff we don't need. We don't need stuff like that. They always give us stuff that don't benefit the Black community properly, man.
Right.
That's what has me upset. You know, with all of these politicians, you know what I'm saying, acting like they running for me, trying to be part of. Come on, man, they fronting. We need to stand up and say, yo, we putting our foot down. We don't need that. We want this, and this is what matter. Can you do it? You can't. Get out of there.
That's right.
It's that simple, man.
Yep.
We gotta start putting our foot down, man.
You know, now
Not
he
that
talked that
abuse.
crap until he got in office.
Yeah.
Okay. And I tell you, considering the long history of the United States war on Black communities, his plan was a half measure at any rate. True equity for our communities would include an admission that our federal government committed a massive crime through the war on drugs, and a plan to undo that damage and make our communities whole. That's what would be significant. That's what Nsoromma is talking about. True equity must include a release of all cannabis prisoners, massive community investment, and legal cannabis marketplace owned and operated primarily by Black people. He ain't going for that, because right here in Wilmington, where medical marijuana is legal, okay, it's controlled by the state police. Unless
But I'm saying, do we really want the change from cotton to weed? I don't think so.
You know
what I'm saying?
You know?
We have to see the broader picture. Some people can just only see a quarter of the picture. You know what I'm saying? But we gotta be able to see the whole picture. What is the outcome of it for us as a people? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. You know, and like you said, do we want to go from cotton to cannabis?
Right.
You know?
Really? Do you really want to job?
Are we going to get a piece of that pie?
Right.
Because we didn't get a piece of the pie when it was cotton.
True. Definitely not.
You know?
You know what I'm saying?
And we're going to talk about that, because let me tell you something.
What?
What a lot of us don't understand about slavery is how much money was made.
Yeah, this was like a $400 billion industry that they had going.
Just
even
the
more than
slaves.
that, really. Just the slaves.
Just the slaves was worth $4 billion.
The first product sold on Wall Street was us.
It was us.
Right.
And like I said, just the
think about
slaves.
that.
Just
You
the
can go
slaves.
get Amazon.
Ain't that a blip? Just the slaves alone. And we're talking $4 billion in 1850 money.
Every product sold on the market.
Like I said, the brother over in Africa.
Every product sold on the market goes through Wall Street, right?
Yeah.
So what is our value on Wall Street?
Depends on whether or not we're in prison. Like I said, see, on the street, we're not worth nothing. But if we in prison, we're a commodity.
But I was thinking, for them to bring us to be sold, it had to be a price value on that.
Well, like I said, the worth of the slaves in 1850 money. We're talking 1850 money now.
That's like 37 cents.
No, the total collective was worth $4 billion then. So if that was $4 billion then, that's $150 billion now. To give you an idea. All right?
It'll be crazy more than that. Yeah, but I got you, man.
All right? Now, that brother over in Africa who was calling on us to step up, he understood something. Why is the African in America the most abused, most oppressed African in all of the diaspora? The diaspora means those Africans outside of Africa. Murdered daily, enslaved, economically oppressed, hated throughout the world. Okay, Black Americans
they portray.
Huh?
I said hated throughout the world from the images that America portrays as.
Right, exactly. Because despite all the African in America has suffered, he's the most resilient and the most dangerous of all Africans in the world. And if he ever truly reconnects with Africa and takes what he has home, the world will be turned upside down. Understand this and find out why. Okay? Because the African in America has been trained in all of America's war tactics. But more than that, what the brother over in Africa said was stop looking down on your brothers in Africa and stop paying attention to the propaganda because you are gods on this earth. Know who you are. I know who I am, Patrice Gibbs.
True that. Nsoromma.
All right. Destiny determines who enters your life, but you decide who stays. Therefore, value those who value you, and don't treat those as a priority who treat you as an option. This is the Open Eye on WHGE 95.3 FM with
Nsoromma in the building.
And Patrice Gibbs.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much. Hey, yo, thanks for joining us. Yo, you know the time go by quick. I be missing like 4-5 minutes of the beginning, but I live for. You know what I'm saying? I gotta come back always. I live for. So, yo, I still be making it happen, yo. Thank y'all for tuning in. Hey, yo, Sherry, Steve, Cedric, Tracy, Vaughn, yo. Thanks for tuning in, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, indeed. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you learned something. What's up, Cedric? What's up, Charles, James? Hey, thanks for tuning in. Tommy, dig ups, that's word. We know you learned something. Come back next week.
Yeah, that's what's good.